Here we go again. This is the second lot of filming that we've done. We have been called the Laurel and Hardy of keto cooking after the first attempt, so hopefully we'll get better as practice goes on. Anyway, this week we're in Val's kitchen and we're doing the treats ready for the special seasons coming up. Autumn brings Halloween, bonfire night for us Brits in the UK, and also we've got Christmas. So what we've sort of concentrated on today is more the sweetie treats kind of things that will make the diet a lot easier for the kids and a lot nicer. We have with us today Nicola, who's Keto Mum, also the star of the Trevor McDonald Tonight programme that was featured a few years ago. And we're going to be having a chat with Nicola later on, and she's going to be making you one of Matty's favourite recipes, Matty's favourite recipes. So anyway, now it's time to sort of get in the kitchen, really, and get started. Yeah? Yeah. Right, let's go. Here we go. What I'm doing first is that you saw me do in the other bit of cooking that we did. I'm just going to whip up some double cream. I'm not weighing this out because I shall weigh it afterwards. Val, have you got any vanilla essence? Yeah. Or anything we can sweeten with? Yeah. Right. What I'm going to do is liquid sweetener. Now what this is going to do, I'm going to freeze this later on. Freeze this now, whip it up, freeze it, and then what I'm going to do is make an ice cream float with sparkling later on. This is quite a good one for bonfire night. What we need. Right, I've got a spoon here. I'm in Val's kitchen, so I don't know where anything is. So I'm just going to This might be for a long day, people. Right, so that is basically just whipped up cream and freezer. Have you got room out there?
Yes, it'll have to go out.
Okay. Alright, so that's we'll come back to that later, and I'm going to use that in an ice cream float. Hand over to you for your chocolate mousse.
This is a nice, easy, basically it's a chocolate mousse. You put it into any type of mould that you want and you freeze it. For example, I'm afraid I have bought an Easter mould, because that's the one I have. I prefer to use a silicone mould because nothing sticks to it once it's frozen. So you get, keto has to be fairly exact, so you just turn it out, all your grams are in there. Nice and easy, no sticking, no scraping. Okay? Now today we've actually used the EKM, which you see on film, and we've measured for a particular boy, Greg, you all know Greg, for his diet, which we're going to use 62 grams of chocolate mousse today, or chocolate dessert. This is just a soy dessert because I tend to make dairy free, so for those of you on dairy free keto, you can be dairy free and have fabulous desserts as well. And you can get this anywhere, any supermarket, any health food shop. And I'm mixing it with MCT oil. You can use Liquigen. I find you get a better texture with MCT oil, and I'm lazy, it's easier. It comes out of the silicone better with MCT oil. Okay, so today we're going to use 62 grams. If I can get this open, that would help. I have a kitchen roll. These have got chocolate everywhere.
You need one of our pennies as well.
Right, for those of you who like to lick their fingers, that's really good because there's mousse dessert thing everywhere. Right. And it smells really, really chocolatey.
Greg is going to love that.
Yeah, it's so easy. There we go. Yes, I'm dripping it all over, making a nice big mess. I wouldn't advise maybe children to make this. Okay, so that's 62 exactly. I'm going to re-zero my scale, because then it's easier. I don't have to do any maths in my head about adding 62 plus 12, which I'm sure you've already done. What some people might prefer to do, instead of doing it this way, which if a child knocked your hand, that's it, you have to start over, is measure the MCT elsewhere and pour it in. Again, I'm lazy. 10, 11, 12, exactly. Okay? So there you are. That's your moves. Right, what I tend to do is use a non-stick spatula, which you get these anywhere, Lakeland, anywhere, if I'm not supposed to be at Albert. And you just whip it up. Look how easy that is. It just sucks up all the oil. Really, really easy, and it still smells absolutely divine. And not much cooking, none actually required. Right, scales out the way. There we go. Here's a mold. Now, I would probably, for this dessert, maybe use a smaller mold, but this is the only one I happen to have with me today, okay? And you simply pour it in. Now, remember we've measured, oh, that looks fantastic. Remember, we have measured exactly, so you need to use your scraper. I'll just turn around that way so you can actually see, and I scrape out absolutely everything, okay? If you did use your clean fingers, you would obviously have to scrape it all off your fingers, not suck your fingers, okay? Right. So, we're on film, so I'm not going to stay doing that, but what you wouldn't leave that in the bowl, you would scrape all of that out, and with spatulas, you can get all of it out, okay? And then what you do, when you put it in your mold, is all you do is stick that in the freezer. I tend to like to be prepared, so I do it the day before. And then the next day you get it out, turn it over, and it looks fantastic. It looks so pretty. So any shape you want, I just prefer silicone molds because nothing sticks to it. And there you are, chocolate pudding in any shape you want.
What I'm going to make now is a Christmas chocolate log, MCT. Greg has this every year at Christmas and thoroughly enjoys it, and usually I end up making them for any places that we go to because it really is a nice looking cake and it's delicious. I've got a Swiss roll tin which I've lined. I usually use this spray, so I haven't actually added it in. It's such a tiny amount of oil used, so that's to stop it sticking. Then I'm going to add into this bowl, just grab a spoon, butter. What I've done is I use this mixture. A quarter of this cake is a meal for Greg. So what I do is I make it times by 4, and then I can use it as a quarter of it can be a meal, or I can use a half of one piece and that's a snack. So I normally end up cutting it into 8, and then he has for a snack. So the amount I'm using is times 4 of his meal values. That's rather enough. Okay, a little butter and liquid gin. I'll just zero that down again. That's Greg's having 50 grams in a meal, so that's 200 grams. So each of the ingredients just times in by 4. Cocoa powder. It's quite a simple one, I think. Something like this way back early on when Greg was on the diet. I think it's been on about 4.5 years now. But this cake was actually the thing that kept him on the diet when he was getting a bit bored of it after about, I don't know, 6 months or so. This cake kept him going because he was craving some chocolate cake. So Emma and I got together one day, and this is what she came up with basically. Ground almonds. It's faded, it's been in my book so long, but I remember it's 108. Obviously the values will be different for each child. actually later on I'll make. So I know it is more difficult when you're doing the classical cooking. We can have so much more with the MCT. So we'll be making a nice treat one for the classical later on. And flour. Usually it's the wholemeal flour. Usually use wholemeal for most things on the diet. I think it does help bowel-wise. Probably the classical mums are going, ah, this is quite a fair bit of flour I'm putting in. I think with the classical, far more use of ground almonds. Right, that's that, and then I'm going to put some lovely vanilla essence that you usually get in South Africa, because Greg's grandparents live out there. We get sent some of this. It's beautiful. I'm going to put a little bit of the chocolate sugar-free Da Vinci in, extra chocolatey, and it's got sweetener in too. And liquid sweetener. There we are. Right, and the other thing I need is egg. I like Nicola was saying earlier, you might want to do this in a separate bowl, because it can be tricky to get just the right amount. Brilliant, bingo. Right, okay, I'm just going to wash my hands. I'm in a right old mess now. Okay, and we'll whisk that up. Make sure I've got everything in. If this was Liz, she'd be scraping that off. For everyone that knows Liz too. There we are, and that's it. Into there. Scrape it all around. Do you hear that? Cake! Quite a few companies do these spatulas. I don't think this is a particularly marvellous one. There we are. Making Swiss roll, much the same. So I'm just going to pop that in the oven. I'll put it on to between 5 and 6 gas. Put that in the middle, and I'll put that in for about 20 minutes. Take the Christmas egg out, and what I'll do is I'll put in a greaseproof paper. It's cooled now. I let it cool a bit, and then I'm just going to pop it out on there. Right, now I've got to remember how to do this. Take this one off. Done rightly. Put another bit in the middle. I've made this for a long time. Poor Greg. And then just roll it. And it will break up a bit. Don't worry, that makes it all look very authentic. Right, that's that. That's just got to cool a bit more now before we put the filling in, when I'm rolling and put the filling in. So I'm just going to leave that for a bit. Okay. Next thing I'm going to make is a classical biscuit. This is one that Rachel makes for Ella, and I've had to work it out for a child who's only on 1 gram of carbohydrate. So the good thing about this is once the biscuit's made, if you've got a little bit more carbs to play with, you can perhaps put a little bit of chocolate on the top, and I think that's what Rachel does for Ella. So it's a very easy one, but and you can either have it plain, or if you put a bit of chocolate on, that makes it a bit of a treat one for parties and things. Right, scales I will need. Right, I've beaten up the eggs so that I've got a bit of yolk and egg white. And I'm just going to make 3 biscuits just to show you what they look like basically. So a little bit of egg, which is I'm putting that in first because it tends to slither out quickly.
Right. Okay, well what we'll do is we need to get you on that forum.
Okay.
We need to get you on that forum.
Butter.
I've got a few other parents that I've got a lot of kids that
Quite a lot of
are
butter.
very restricted, that have come up with some nice recipes. I mean, Paul came up with a celeriac and lentil recipe, which was really nice. So, you know, they're... And then you've got Caroline on there as well with Amber, who's very restricted as well. She's a mine of information. So we really need to work out. I'm going to chase Bruce. I'm going to give Bruce a ring now, and I'm going to ask him to try and look at this again and work this one, because you really need that forum.
Coconut.
You really do need that forum. I know. Failing that, email me your questions. I'll post them up for you until we get the problem sorted, or I'll email specific people and say, I'll put you in contact, direct email with Carol. If you email me, I will then email Carol Ann and Paula, the 2 ones that I think will be a great benefit to you, because they've got and Kerry as well, she's phenomenal. Again, with severe food intolerances. And I'll ask them until we get the forum sorted out if they can email around like a group of okay?
And you can use a little bit of sweetener.
Until we can get you on that forum. But then I'll go and chase Bruce up today. That's all right.
Lovely.
Alright, don't give me a copy, Nick. Alright, good luck. Bye.
Just going to mix that in together.
Sorry, it was on helpline.
Okie dokie.
What are we making?
I'm just doing the biscuit, the classical biscuit.
Oh, right.
That Rachel makes for Ella.
Okay.
And this is only 1 gram of carb. I was just saying, if you had a bit more, you could probably put a little bit. Maybe
So how many biscuits are you making there?
3.
3? Ooh, nice. Oh, I should leave you to get on with it, Miss Capable. Don't wash you up. Do I need to do anything?
Well, that would be nice.
Oh, okay. I'm going to the sink.
Now, had I been very organised, I would have weighed this bowl earlier. But, I've got one the same. So I can do that, and then I can weigh out how much ingredients there is and divide it by 3. So, and my bowl is 474. Now I get the calculator.
So the mathematics comes in.
5, yeah. Minus 474 equals 111. Divided by 3. Okay, so we're going to have 37 grams in each biscuit. So, I need something to put them on then. Okay. What sometimes I do with the biscuits is I'll do them in the, similar to what Nicola was saying earlier, with the silicone, it comes out so much easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the biscuits into the muffin tray rather than on a separate tray. And the trick that Liz too came up with for putting these muffin trays onto the scales. I'm just going to whip over here a minute. Sorry. Is to put the... I think this might have been her husband, Chris, who came up with this one. Put the silicone tray onto the breadboard. There. And then zero it down. Right. Can't work with that one. In a minute. I'm sure I've got a very clean floor because I did clean my house thoroughly before you came in. Probably won't be seen like this again for a very long time. Right, so we said 37 in each. So. Push that in. That's it. Right, so that's those biscuits. So I'll put those in, and basically most things I cook go on either 5 or 6 for about 20 minutes. So we'll try that one again.
Even if it doesn't work.
Yeah. No, that one works, no problem. Right, those are in. I'll put that on. I'll put it on for 15, I think.
Okay, what I've got here is I've got a non-stick frying pan, and in it has got some olive oil. So I'd probably sort of weigh out the amount of olive oil for a couple of meals, depending on how much you've got. If it's MCT, you might put a bit of MCT oil in there as well. But otherwise that's classical or modified Atkins. This is celeriac. Now you'll remember from the last lot of cooking that we didn't have celeriac, we couldn't get hold of it. Well, this is what it looks like, all knobbly and everything else, and smells like celery. But it's great. It's a great low-carb veg. You can mash it, boil it, fry it, and also roast it. So it's a good replacement for roast potatoes for kids that have got low-carb allowance. Right, okay, so we've got your LCT fat in there. And what I've done is I've taken some of the celeriac off and I've cut into thin slices using one of these or a mandolay or something like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fry these celeriac bits, because crisps seem to be the big favourite that our kids miss. Especially the ones on classical diet. And if you've got things like Christmas coming up or birthdays and that kind of thing, they want some crisps. They want to be able to pick these out, and these are absolutely lovely. In fact, the whole family likes them, and the cameraman's just had one. And he went, oh, I'm making those at home.
Definitely,
That's
definitely.
how good they are. So, now afterwards you can flavour, you can cook them in different flavour oils. If you want chilli flavour, you can add a few sort of pinch of chilli to that. Well, I'm just doing these plain and then putting a pinch of salt on them. And they come out like lovely crisps. We've got one of our mums, Heather, she does it in deep fried. So she gets her deep fryer out and she batches up loads of these. And then puts just a pinch of salt on afterwards. So we're going to leave those cooking for a bit. As far as other types of diet and crisps is concerned, if you've got the modified Atkins diet, you can look at something like pork scratchings, which is sort of mainly protein. One of our mums, Susan, she cracks those up and she coats chicken in pork scratchings, so it's like chicken nuggets, and then uses it like a garlic dip. So that's another idea you can use. The sort of, you can get those from low carb mega store, and the pork rinds, which you can crush up and use instead of breadcrumbs, basically. But that's if you've got the protein allowance. So these are cooking the crisps there. We've got Val beavering away in the background, getting all the chocolates and things ready for snacks. And these are going to be ready in a few minutes, and we'll show you. We've got a selection of things that you can have. There's a celeriac crisp that we've just cooked, that we're busy munching on actually. This is an ice cream float. So what we whisked up earlier on and you saw us put in the freezer, what we've done there, you've got a couple of straws in, then we've got Diet Coke down there. Now if you've got bonfire night, this is where we hope it works. If you've got bonfire night, obviously do this supervised. Bonfire night, Halloween. That looks pretty spectacular and every kid's going to go, whoo, isn't that great? So it's a special occasion type thing. So, and then you just wrap the bottom of the sparkler in foil, and then afterwards take it out. And there you've got your measured amount of cream on top of your ice, your Diet Coke or any other flavoured fizzy drink that you might like or your kid might like. So that's an idea, and we're just waiting for that to burn down. We haven't set your kitchen on fire yet. We're doing all right. But the kids like, that's a real sort of especially spectacular kind of thing. So while that's burning down
these are a
there...
couple of things from earlier, aren't they?
Yeah.
This is the classical cookies or cakes. But these have just got 1 gram of carbohydrate in.
Yeah, look
absolutely
at those.
delicious.
Aren't
This
they
is
lovely?
Rachel's baby, and there I've just put a chocolate button on because you would be able to, if you had a bit more carb, be able to make them special by putting a bit of chocolate. And this is Nicola's rabbit she did earlier, which has come out beautifully from the freezer, apart from my sort of
You've locked it here.
ear fell off.
Right.
Apart from that, it's great.
Right, so, ouch! That's hot. That's professional. Right, okay. That's that one. Why wouldn't I think it wouldn't be hot? Right, clotted cream. Excellent one to use if you're going to have it on a little bit of fruit or something like that, because it's got a really high fat content, even higher than double cream. So don't forget about using your clotted cream. Here, right, sweeties. Celeriac crisps we've got. Now, that is peanut butter and chocolate and ordinary butter. Now, thankfully, my son was never great on presentation type thing, so I could get away with doing this. But if you wanted to make it special, you've got peanut butter in the middle of these sweets, and I've just coated them with the chocolate. This is a 2.5 to 1 ratio, but you could, see there you go, you've got the peanut butter inside. But you could make it a 3 to 1 by adding more butter. I melted the chocolate and I added in butter and sweetener. And the chocolate I used was the very high cocoa cooking chocolate because it's lower in carb. Some people may say you could use the Atkins chocolate. Personally, I don't like it because of all the ozies and sugar alcohols in it. I would much prefer to go for a good quality cooking chocolate, use less of it, and put some liquid sweetener in to sweeten it up. So that's how. So I melted the chocolate with some liquid sweetener and added butter into it, and then the peanut butter absorbs extra butter brilliantly well. So I put some more butter into the peanut butter, and then make circles, put them in the freezer, make circles of peanut butter, and then coat it in the melted chocolate, put it back into the freezer. But because my son isn't fussy about what things look like, thank God, I was able to mix all those together and then just do it out on a piece of greaseproof paper, put it in the freezer, and then I can cut sections off and weigh it off. So I would put that into the EKM, I would just mix a load of peanut butter and things together, and then I would put it into the EKM and measure him out a portion, either for a bit of pudding to go with his dinner or something along those lines. So you've got kind of the Reese cup type things, but all in one bar there. So that's quite nice, and you can make them look fancy. What have you got there?
Right, I've got the usual keto chocolate made with butter, cream. With this one I've put desiccated coconut sweetener. That's it, isn't it, with those? Yeah, that's it. Oh, cocoa.
What are these things there?
That's made from concentrated jelly. We've got sugar-free jellies here. If you make a concentrated amount, you can either use them to make, in a lot of these ice cube trays, you can make jelly sweets. This is the sweets that didn't come out very well, I have to say. I forgot to spray with the oil first. That makes it easier, then they come out better. So you can make shaped sweets. I've got lots of these. Here we are. They're really handy to have. I've got stars for Christmas, Christmas trees, penguins, don't know what celebration they're for. Love hearts for Valentine's Day. And of course you can do all different colours. These are what I'd call the boiled sweet jellies. And the only difference is these have been kept in the fridge and these have been kept in the freezer. So they're just hard, so it makes them more like a boiled sweet. This is Paula's famous Bounty Bar. And it is divine.
I've not tried that yet.
And I suppose you can either make it into a bar or you could roll it into sweets, couldn't you?
Oh,
and
that's
that is lovely, isn't it?
Mm.
That's cocoa, coconut, desiccated coconut, creamed coconut, and mixed together with double cream. You can use a sweetener, or I think Paula doesn't use sweeteners, so I think she uses banana.
She's got more of a ratio, so she can put that in.
Yeah, so
that is lovely.
That's just for the sweetener. It's delicious, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, so you could cut that. You could make that into quite a few.
Yeah, put them in the little fancy things, like I did with that one. Instead of making a bar, just roll out in little balls and put it in the cups there to make it sweet.
This is Greg's, what he had. It's just a small snack that he has. Obviously he has the liquid gin with it, which he could have the liquid gin in the nice fancy cup. And so because he's on the MCT diet, he can have a bit more carbohydrate. So he's got, these are after 8 sticks. And then he's got an opal fruit, or starburst they are now, aren't they?
Yeah.
And
showing your age.
Yeah. And the eyes are just little bits of after 8 on the eyes. And then he's got,
the helpline.
to go with it, he's got just a little bit of ham, which I thought makes good tongues, and Greg would appreciate that, a few tongues on Halloween and a finger, nasty things. So, but that's just a small snack he has, that's not a whole meal. So not bad. And these that I did last night, he's either got just simple, easy peasy that most people do know, but just in case people don't, it's Coca-Cola made into a lolly. Obviously you can use lemonade or whatever, low calorie squash. And these are ice lollies made from, I know a lot of people have problems, and we must do a thing on hiding liquid gin. They've been left out a bit long. That is all of it. All that is Greg's night drink made into an ice cream. So he has liquid gin, cream, milk, and then I've just put a bit of sweetener. You can put a bit of cocoa in, cocoa powder, make them chocolate lollies. It's just another way. If they don't want to have the drink, they can either have this for the liquid gin in the summer, or whenever you're trying to hide liquid gin. It's just another way of getting it in. We must do one on that, mustn't we?
You can also put the liquid gin in with the jelly and put them in there and freeze them as ice lollies, like milk lollies.
Well.
Now you'll see some popcorn there as well. This is good for the classical diet as well. Even though it's quite high in carbs, because it weighs so light, they'll get so much of it. So if they don't like celeriac crisps or anything like that, you can try a little bit of popcorn, which is the joys of just the ordinary Butterkiss stuff. We have the same makes? Oh well, we have. Whichever makes, or you can get your ordinary popcorn and add more butter into it. So it's another way of losing your butter. So there's some ideas on kind of sweety kind of things. What's in there?
That's Coke. I've just pulled one out.
Oh, those are Coke. Oh, lovely. Sometimes it's the same old stuff, but it's how you present it. And, with Christmas and Halloween and everything coming up, sometimes it just makes things a bit better. I mean, if you want to, as far as these concerned, you can make homemade sweets at home and do it together, so you've got keto sweets and, they all look the same. If you've got time, because I know a lot of you will be screaming at me now going, like, I've got time to do that. But, some people would like to do that. It's just different ideas. They're not difficult to make, believe it.
They're not, and sometimes things like this, you can leave them in the fridge, in the things, and just like what I do, if Greg has the keto chocolates, just pop out a couple for pudding, and they stay in the freezer.
Yeah.
So.
Believe me, if we can make it, anybody can.
Yeah.
The Laurel and Hardy of the keto world.
Exactly.
Right, next thing is to finish off that Christmas cake.
This is a classical version. Made the Christmas cake earlier. I'm just going to do one muffin, but obviously you can use extra of this mix, and you can make that into a lovely chocolate cake. So let's go with the butter. Obviously much more fatty than the. This is somebody who sent me their values, so it's. Obviously it's not for Greg, but it's a real cake for a real person. Get it off.
Do you want a scraper?
I'm spitting out. Right, butter.
We have a selection.
Oh, lovely. Very cool.
Scrapers available in Matthew Friends starter pack.
Cocoa. I think this is quite a big boy this was for. I've got a bit far. But he just was getting fed up and wanted something a bit special. So that's what we did. Right, bit of egg. Each time zeroing up the scales in between. That's it, just ground almonds. Keto cow, sometimes that just helps. It's when you've got quite a lot of fat, even very basically, it kind of helps to bind everything together.
It's great, it's like a high fat powder, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's good really to have some keto cow in the cupboard for baking, even if you don't use it for milkshakes or anything like that. That's it. Right, next ingredient, nice bit dollop of cream cheese.
So what's that last little bit?
I know, yeah, and I get so excited when it's exact. It's quite sad really, isn't it?
I used to travel to a specific farm shop just because they did the right size eggs for the amount I wanted for one recipe.
Yeah. Right, and a mini bit of flour. So when you're doing a little bit like this, I'm not going to worry today, but when you're doing a little bit like this, it might be better to just do it separately and then add it in. Otherwise you end up doing what I just did.
So how many grams of carbs in this one particular recipe?
I think this is the one, it's either 6 or 7 in this one.
So
I don't know what
like a bigger boy.
Yeah. One is a big lad, yeah.
Mm.
I think he's about Greg's age, but was on classical.
So obviously with less carb, you just take out the flour. You wouldn't need.
And that's quite a lot of cocoa as well.
Yeah.
So
you could do it for a 4-to-1 or a smaller portion.
Yeah. So that's the bit I tend to put the vanilla. You could actually use the other chocolate Da Vinci as well, couldn't you? But I think this is chocolatey enough. Pretty yummy. A little bit of vanilla. That is nice. And obviously for making this, you can just make one. Or you can make a whole cake. Just double up. I mean, like I did with a Christmas cake, you just multiply the ingredients. Some would scrape those up as well, but as we're just...
Yeah, I've got several ones actually would be going into a state of apoplexy by now because you haven't scraped the things.
Yeah. Tell you what I will do. Actually, no, I won't, because when I do use the MC soil, they pop out real easy. But I don't know whether this is going to pop out, and I don't want to be stuck with a jelly with that. So I'll just give it a quick squirt. Probably wouldn't because it's quite high fat, and I can't remember. I've only made this once for. I can't remember who it was now. I think it might have been Lewis. Can't remember. You can actually probably do 2 little ones with this amount, which sometimes goes down better, doesn't it? You know, they've got 2. good spatula. Do you want another one? There's some and some. I think the ones with the silicone on are better as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Anyway, we get the gist of it, don't we? So that sounds quite a nice one actually. I can't remember where I've got this one, but that one's a bit better. So that's should. There we are.
In the oven?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Right, in the oven with that one. And while that one's
Those
in
are
the
certainly
oven,
well-used silicone pots there.
yeah. Right, while that one's in.
How long's it on for?
Oh, 20 minutes on number 5, I should think.
Just for a change, yeah. Okay.
I'm going to use the breadboard as well, just to.
Okay.
Right. So here we have the. Look, looks terrible, doesn't it? But it won't be. Now, how do I do this? Remember that way. That's it. Make sure I do it properly, otherwise. That's it. So it does look a bit of a disaster, but it's not, on it. Put it out there for a minute. Now, yeah, lovely. Now this is some just whisked up cream from earlier. What I need is some cocoa, which I've put on here. Usually half a teaspoon, we say. Sorry. I'm just going to dissolve. I'll bring this over to you. Obviously, Greg being MCT, if you're classical, you're going to have to perhaps use a little less cocoa. I know I can get away with Greg.
Also, you could flavour the cream with vanilla
Yes.
or cinnamon or use Vinci syrup, so it doesn't have to be cocoa.
With Greg, everything is chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah, or lemon or anything. You can do any kind of, really. I'm actually not going to use all of that. Maybe a bit more. Oh, it's all stuck on there. Look. Right, so there's a bit of that. Thanks.
Okay.
A bit of sweetener. Right. And I'm just going to mix that into the cream. We've got quite a lot of cream here anyway, so. You can use the other way you can do it, depends what you like better. Greg likes the cream one, but if you prefer, you can obviously use butter and cocoa and make a butter icing. Just put sweetener in. Obviously, it all has to be calculated in, and what I didn't say earlier actually, when I make this, I work out how much fat I can have over, long chain fat, to use for the filling. That's fine. Right, now, what you do now is like your usual Christmas log, is you just roll it up like that, give it a squidge. And it may look like a bit of a mess, but actually it looks like a log, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think?
Broken one.
A broken log, but that's what logs look like, don't they?
Yeah, that's the bark.
Right, that's the bark. Now, hold on, just for a bit of authenticity, I shall put it on a plate. But, you know, obviously you can put it on a Christmas plate. And then, where's me? Ah, that's what I need. I'm just going to, scoot down behind you. Desiccated coconut, very, very little carbohydrates, so we can sprinkle a little bit of snow on. And in my pot in here, where's me? Oh, here we are. Right. Sure, I've got Father Christmas. There we are. How about that?
Delicately done.
How about that?
I'm sure Jane Asher's got a lot to worry about.
Little snowman. That's all right, isn't it? So, a quarter of that cake is a meal for Greg, and an eighth is a snack. So, what we'd normally do over Christmas time, he'll have a piece of cake for his snack, and he's well made up. Loves it. So.
Okay, well that's today's Laurel and Hardy keto cooking session done. We hope it's given you some ideas for Halloween and all the celebrations that are coming up. The other one that you can have a look at is Tony's Top Tips. There's some stuff in there, so if you want one of those leaflets, just contact us and we'll send one off to you. The other thing in there, sometimes with trick-or-treating, that can be a problem. And suggestions we have for that is maybe you can swap any sweets that your kids get for presents or toys. The other one is for them to actually answer the door to other trick-or-treaters and pull some jokes on them. Favourite one we had last year, we went to another house and it gave us a good idea, is one lady had filled up a tub of jelly, and the kids, to get their treats, she'd hidden the treats in the jelly, so they had to go in there and get, all these kids were putting their hands in jelly and disgusting things. But it was great fun, and for your keto kid to be giving that out, for want of a better phrase, instead of going around trick-or-treating, that can be quite fun if they can't be relied on not to cheat. If you want any other ideas or you've got any problems, then don't hesitate to call the helpline. And that's
any ideas, if you've got any ideas, please let us know.
Send them in, put them in on the forum to share with everybody else. We hope you have a lovely autumn and a good celebration time. We'll be back cooking in the new year, and what we're covering next time?
Batching up, I think,
yep.
Next one.
We're going to that's it. We're batching up meals next time, so stews and soups, and how to do your meals for the week. And also we're doing using your products. So we're going to go through specific recipes on using all the different prescription products you've got as well. That makes life easier. And like we said, if there's anything in the meantime that you think would be useful, then don't hesitate to give us a call. And have a good autumn and winter. Take care.
Bye.